Good evening all. Hope you're having a nice weekend. We've nearly come to the end of the weekend, so hopefully you managed to put your feet up and you could just relax. We had a very crazy couple of weeks. I think because we've had such heavy selling, we could be well overdue a little bounce, a little risk relief bounce. And that idea is aided by the 24-hour change, albeit it's a tiny change, but it does tell us that they didn't really heavily sell or heavily buy. They kind of just sat on the fence. But if they were to go one way on the side of the fence, they have sold, okay, just ever so slightly on a tiny amount, okay. So that's of note because of they have sold it, albeit tiny, is that we have got a green sell there. So that's going to help with the bullish thesis, okay. And don't forget we're just one news event from being risk off. So you have to know your exits, okay, because, you know, if we have some massive thing unfold, then we're going to be risk off. So you have to know your exits, and if you have wide stops, at least reduce your sizes. Okay, you don't really want massively wide stops if you size, because it'll be stressful and it could be very painful as well. So we have got a bit of green. If the technicals rally, which is possible because we're probably overdue a little bounce, is that we'll be above 50%, then that will go green, and then we can be in complacency. If we continue to pump on the technicals, we'll have a lot of green on here, and then we could be Euphoria. Okay, so be careful and just know your exits. And there's the Dow Jones being positive, and I'll show you why. And there's the VIX at pump. So the reason for the Dow, so I can show you this. Well, let me just talk about US30. And see, the reason for it to do quite well is because they'd sold it, so we can create a box here-ish. It's actually this candle, I guess you could say it's like a fake candle. It printed a little bit of bearishness, and it caused them to sell. I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah, it's that one. We printed a bearish price action, and they really got involved. All right, and so they sold, and they got punished. Okay. Quickly look at gold, because we just had it up, and it's worth noting that the S&P is just sideways and they are selling DAX. Okay, so this is of note because what happened here is that they'd gone long and they got paid for 2 hours. This was very likely geopolitical, and then we had that news event about all those missile strikes and Syria, Iran, Israel. You know, just it was like explosions going on everywhere, and of course that action it caused price to pump. So they had got paid quite a bit there, but we have to remember there are other things moving the markets. Okay, it's really important. So remember, they'd sold the Dow. We're quite sideways in S&P, and they're selling DAX. So that's kind of given us a slightly bullish sort of theory about, you know, the open and Asia, but we are just one news event from being quite risk off. Okay, so got to be careful. So that's that, and we can see there's not much change from last Sunday as well. So oil had been a mover, and you know that should be falling, and EG can do okay because that should pump. We probably see a little pressure on pound, the pound USD. So it's something that you could look at. And if we come to the QDB scores, we can see that GU has got a fairly poor score. It's only -4. A better sell would be the New Zealand dollar USD or the Australian dollar USD. And so you probably might not want to sell GU. You might want to sell NU or AU. Okay, and I'm not sure why that's doing that, but it's just one of those things. I just reset it just before making this video, so something's obviously just glitched a little bit. So that's that. So we know that the Kiwi's got a poor score. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. And we got a decent score on the euro and a good score on the USD. So you probably want to trade something weak versus strong. So you could do euro Kiwi or dollar, New Zealand dollar USD. Aussie is also quite weak as well. So it's interesting. And then we can maybe look at the bubbles, and we can see the USD should be the strongest, and we should see yen and Kiwi weakness. Okay, and it's very, very typical to see the yen. They're normally always long JPY, and then they're going to add long, and then the bubble's going to be over here, and then it's going to suffer. Okay, right. So be careful with the yen, and we're very, very close to having BOJ intervention as well. Not much to say about the robot. It's going really, really well. After a couple of weeks, I'll start producing reports and things like that. And but we had a really good day on Monday with a 5.6 R. It was a little bit flat during the middle of the week, and then we had a really good Friday with a 5.1 R. So we had like a 10 R over the week, which is really good. So we were prepared to risk X. We got 10 times what we were prepared to risk. So from a risk to reward perspective, it was really, really, really good. So hopefully it should continue. And that's it, I guess. Doesn't really need to be a long video. Watch the COP data video as well, because there's some ideas there with a strong USD, and we can see that we've got a strong USD on the bubble. But I think we're probably overdue. We're possibly quite overdue a relief bounce, aren't we? And that's also helped us with that idea. But like I say, we could just be one news event, and then we can just really unfold, and then we can be pretty risk off, potentially all week, depending on that news event. So trade safely, and I'll speak to you soon. One and all, we have a strong disclaimer that we need to stipulate. The fact is that it's really, really easy to lose money while trading, and you absolutely must have risk management at the forefront of your mind. Every trade decision, before you enter, you need to know where your exit is. You don't just enter willy-nilly. You need to stipulate your stop loss, and you need to know about your sizing as well. All this information is in the Discord as well, and it's also on YouTube. So if you don't know your sizes, and then you don't know your stop loss, you're going to encounter horrific losses. Okay, and also it's highly risky. And the stuff that I put out on a daily basis, it's for your own information. It's not to be traded on its own. You need to be used with a trading system and with a risk management at the forefront of that system at all times. You can't trade without the risk management, because you will blow your money. And I dare say, if you're watching this video, you would have lost a lot of money, and you've blown maybe an account or even several. So it's absolutely critical that you've got a very keen sense of risk management at everything you do. It's like crossing a busy street. You wouldn't cross the road without looking left and right. You'd wait for the traffic light, and then it would go from red, amber, green, and then once it went to green, you'd still be careful. Okay, so just a quick video there, and be really careful. It's a highly volatile market. In fact, it's probably the most volatile market you could ever get into, and while it can make you a lot of money, it can also cause catastrophic losses. So be careful at all times.